out of all the years that he worked for Amarillo Museum of Art, on average, how many exhibitions do you think that you curated?
Well, I've been at the museum for about 18 years, not curator that entire time, but probably within my time, I've done at least 100 exhibitions.
Wow. And then talking about the reason you're here today is talking about Standard Station by Edward Rouge. How does the Pace Standard Station speak to you personally?
Personally, Standard Station speaks to me because Ed Ruscha is such an important American artist, probably among the most important of his generation for sure, and has had just a huge impact on American art. And to know that this little station in Amarillo, Texas, caught his attention at the time, enough for him to revisit the work throughout his career, is kind of interesting to me that, something so close to our home could have such an outstanding visual impact, around the world, really.
Yeah. What makes Edward
Yeah, Ruche?
Rouge
Yeah.
and Standard Station so significant for this area, besides the location being right at home?
I mean, it projects the sense of the American West to the rest of the world, so um, it's hard to say what the world would be like without an image, but I would say that the world with the image of this station on the horizon and the station having been in Amarillo, Texas, has a lot to say about, the East meets West and how we're kind of central in the country and what artists were looking at as they were going West, because there was a big run towards the West Coast. Ruscha was Oklahoma City based, and so when he could get to LA to escape Oklahoma, he did. And so, to have that interpretation of Amarillo kind of at the crossroads of the American West, and to have this image of this building that still stands in Amarillo uh, is significant.
So, and then his original photograph of Standard Station is a black and white photo in the novel. What was it? 26 gasoline stations. Why do you believe that he made that specific Standard Station here in Amarillo? It got its own series and its own screen print, like its own series, basically. No, why do you think that?
So I think that traveling from Oklahoma City to Amarillo and then on to LA, back and forth over a number of years, you're going to notice things on the horizon. You're going to find your favorite spots on your travels, as we all do. And so, this Standard Station in Amarillo was new and sharp and clean and welcoming, and had an awning for shade, and had this, great graphic sign, the Standard, Standard Oil Company and the Standard Station. And so I think that stuck with Ed, and I think that that image is something that he revisited over and over again.
Now, when Route 66 is not the primary framework for an exhibition, how can Standard Station and related works still operate as an interpretive anchor for surrounding?
So I think that, when you take as Ed did, take the Standard Station and portray it in so many different ways and revisit it over time, there's a Standard Station that we have in the museum collection that's one of the prints from 1969, and it's the double standard. And so there's two signs. And so to say that an oil company has a double standard is kind of not a stretch. And so it's significantly and culturally important just graphically in that sense. But then he also did the Standard Station on fire. He did the Standard Station with a torn up magazine in the corner. The Standard Station, the Ghost Station, where it's just embossed and there's not any color. But is that something about the decay of American nostalgia, the way things change? So, yeah, it's, I think that the significance of his interpretation of this place and this building resonates throughout time, and how he, chooses to reproduce it.
Yeah. You brought a couple photos for us today, so
I did.
you just kind of like show us. And
Okay. So this is the Standard Station Amarillo, and the building still stands. It's on Amarillo Boulevard now a tire shop. And so this photograph was in 62, and it was included in the 26 gasoline stations, which is the first artist-produced book with kind of a typography of gasoline stations between Oklahoma City and Los Angeles. And so he printed those up. Got all of the first edition were gone. He printed a second edition, so it became a really important landmark in terms of artist books. And then this is the first painting of Standard Station, 1963. And then this is another painting, 1964. This is the one that has the 10-cent Western torn in half. And this sold at auction at Christie's in 2024 for $68,260,000. So an iconic American artwork, if nothing other than its value. And then this painting is the Standard Station on Fire, 1965-66. And then the series of prints. The Standard Station print was 1966, and then a Mocha Standard. So, if you've been in a dust storm in Amarillo, this could be something that you would witness. And for sure. Yeah, absolutely. 69. And again, this was a cheese mold station with an olive, also in 69. So, does it say something about olive oil? Maybe, I don't know. And then this was another standard in 2003, and another print in 2003. And so, this is by no means all of the references that Ruche made to Standard Station Amarillo, but it keeps getting revisited and revisited.
And going back to you mentioning that the 46 Gasoline Station was the first artist published book there,
Yeah.
you say? Now I know you might not be like a professional in like literature, but how do you believe that impacted how maybe artists publish and create works now just off of like, the book?
I mean, really, it was more likely seen as kind of a punk move, like in previous times, if you wanted to publish a book or you wanted to get your images reproduced and out into the world, you'd had to submit things to publishers and go through an entire process. And so for an artist just to take the images that they wanted to take and print them, reproduce them, bind them, distribute them, and then have them be so desired that you do it again, and then have that be so desired that you shift to other subjects, because the 26 Gasoline Stations was just the first book. He went on to do others like parking lots and, buildings of other kinds. So and then, of course, other artists start to see that, and then they can make their own things. And so you kind of get like a little bit of a punk scene going on where people can start reproducing their own works and distributing them. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.